Good evening, gentlemen. So tonight is a special night. It is Hey B'Av. Hey B'Av is the Yortzeit of the Arizal. Zechusoi Yogain Aleinu Al Kol Yisrael. Okay. Oh, so we are on page Kuf base. We're in the middle of Hakdama Vav. Okay, Villa Seder, Rabbi Avram, if you need a sefer, I have one here. You're staying for the shir?
I'm staying, I'm just getting the food.
Sure. Villa Zeh, okay, so we're at the top of Kuf base, at the very top. So what we had said, the last thing that we had said was, in the beginning of this Hakdama, or Perak, this is called Moichin V'Midas. We were dividing the 10 sefiros into two groups. The top three, Keser Chachma Bina, is called Moichin. Those are much higher than the other seven. And the other seven...
The Rashi letters are Kuf Beis, right?
Kuf Beis, yeah, Kuf Beis. Not Rashi, no, Kuf, page Kuf Beis at the top. Not the Rashi letters, no, the regular. I'm just making a review now.
I'm talking about that.
It's okay. Moichin are the top three. Keser Chachma Bina, those are much higher than the lower seven. And higher means more bigger, more powerful, if you want to say it that way. And Midas are the bottom seven. So we were talking about the division. Until now we had 10 sefiros. Now we're dividing them into 3 and 7. Top 3 and lower 7. Okay? So now we're on page Kuf Beis at the top, Villa Zeh. Villa Zeh Nizdar Yemei HaOilam B'Shiva Yamim. So what he's going to say now is that basically, as we know, whatever's happening up in Shemayim, because of that, as a result of that, is the world will look down here the way it looks. So the question is, why are there 7 sefiros? Why are there 7 days of the week? The reason there's 7 days of the week is because there are 7 midas, 7 lower sefiros, and each of those 7 lower sefiros will create 1 day of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. So that's what he's saying here now. Because we have the lower 7 sefiros, that will set up that the days of the world, as he calls them, it means the days of the week, but it means the days that the world works with are going to be 7 days. Kivan shemekoiran hu me'asheva sefiros chagas nehim. The root of these 7 days are from the 7 lower sefiros, which is chagas nehim. Now again, we had said chagas nehim is Rosh Hashanah, and stands for Chesed Gvura Tiferes Netzachoid Yesoid Malchus. Kedeisa b'Zohar HaKadosh, like it says in the Zohar HaKadosh, Al HaPasuk. So the Zohar HaKadosh brings a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim, and this is an interesting pasuk because usually we don't see psukim that describe the sefiros. This might actually be the only pasuk in Tanakh. I'm not sure, but it might actually be the only pasuk in Tanakh that almost clearly mentions all 7 sefiros. Okay, it could be, obviously in other psukim in Tanakh, you're going to have ramazim to the 7 sefiros, maybe even in one pasuk together. But here it actually says it almost clearly. So the pasuk in Divrei Hayamim brings down the Zohar HaKadosh. We say this every morning in Shachris, before Yishtabach. L'cha Hashem hagdula v'agvura v'tiferes v'netzach v'hoid kichol b'shamayim u'v'aretz l'cha Hashem hamamlacha v'amisnasei l'chol rosh. So this is a very interesting pasuk. it says, L'cha Hashem, to you is Hashem, Hagdula. Now, Gedula, it says here in brackets, is Chesed, because it's the same thing. Gedula means Chesed, the sphere of Chesed. So that's like a remez to Chesed. It doesn't say Chesed openly, but it says Gedula. As a matter of fact, because of this, the earlier Kabbalah Svarim sometimes called the sphere of Chesed Gedula. They didn't refer to it as Chesed, they referred to it as Gedula. You can see in older diagrams and certain older Svarim, it's mentioned that way. It's called Gedula, it's not called Chesed. So anyway, the pasuk says, L'cha Hashem HaGedula, that's Chesed, V'Gvura, that's openly Gvura, V'Hatiferes, Tiferes, V'Hanetzach, Netzach, V'Hoid, and Hoid. So there you have the first 6 of the bottom 7 spheres. Ki Chol B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz. So it's interesting. That pasuk really means everything is in Shemayim and Aretz. Everything that Hashem has created, He has created in Shemayim, in the heavens, the Haaretz, and the
earth.
The earth, correct. But Kol refers to Yesod, and that's why it says here in bracket Yesod. Why? Because if you'll look at a diagram of the spheres, so I'll just show you. I just open to the back. You can open to any. There's a bunch of these diagrams in the back. Okay, you're going to see that all the spheres work almost like a filter. They filter into Yesod. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're all coming down here. So they all, in other words, the hashpah is all going down. It goes from up to down. So it all ends up down here, and then it transfers to Malchus. So Yesod is called Kol, because Kol means everything. Because all of the hashpah of all the lower 7 spheres end up over there, the top 6, let's put it that way. Then it says, L'cha Hashem ha-mamlacha. To you, Hashem, is rulership, mamlacha. Brackets, malchus. Mamlacha, of course, is the shorish of mamlacha, is melech, which refers to malchus. So in this one pasuk, you have a remez to all 7 spheres. Da kavana al shiva yamim ha'elyonim. The kavana of this pasuk, he says, is that these 7 spheres are called the yamim ha'elyonim, the higher days. It doesn't mean days it means the root of the days. The days of the week that we have, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the root of those are called higher days, which are these 7 spheres. He refers to them as Yamim Ha'elyonim. Shehem Hasheva Midas. These are the 7 spheres. The Midas, which are the lower 7. V'lachein, Nikru Elu Hasheva Midois B'Shem Shivas Yemei Habinyan. These lower 7 spheres are actually another expression for them, another name of them is Shivas Yemei Habinyan, the 7 days of building, which means, again, it means the root. The binyan means the world, or the building of the world. So the root of the 7 days that we have are these 7 spheres. Ki al, turn the page. Ki al yedehem nivna ha'olam. Through these 7 spheres, the world was built. Kol yoim besfira hamiyuchedes shala kazeh. Every day, so he's calling the creation of the 7 days of the week the building of the world. That's how he's calling it. Maybe you can say it's the building of time. Maybe. So he says that, and this is how it works. Yom Harishon, Sunday. Nivra besfiras chesed. Sunday was created from the sphere of chesed. Okay, so the sphere of chesed created Sunday. Shehi midas ahava v'hashpa. The sphere of chesed is the sphere of love and hashpa. Hashpa, how do you say hashpa? Flow.
I usually say flow here.
You'd say flow. In other words,
flow or influence.
Or influence, exactly. Flow or influence coming from up there, from Shemayim, coming down. Hashpa. So chesed represents love and hashpa, and giving, right? That chesed is giving, being mashpia. V'lachein, therefore, nivra boy haor kitoif. Okay, so what he's doing now is he's going to show you that the things that were created in the 7 days of creation have a direct connection to the sefira which created that given day. So he says the first day, Sunday, was created from the sphere of chesed, and chesed means love and hashpah, flow and influence, giving over, giving to somebody, giving Hashem, giving to us, giving us His bracha, His whatever good things He has to give us. So what does it say on the first day? Well, on the first day, it says in Torah, Yehi Or. Now, Or is the ultimate example of chesed, because Or flows. Or, what would we do without light, right? Or light is everything. Light allows us to see. Light, in a spiritual sense, light is oiris. It's spirituality. Light is everything.
In the Bechina of Oris and Kalim.
Oris and Kalim.
Flow and Kalim's the...
Or is it right? Kalim encompasses it. Correct. So that's why Or is created on the first day, because the first day is a product of the Sefira of Chesed. And he says, again, the Or of the first day, he says, shines or spreads from one end of the world to the other. It wasn't the sun, right? The sun is created later. So it's just light, Yehi Or. So the nature of Chesed is it spreads. Another example of Chesed is it's like water. It just keeps going. That's Chesed. You need Gvura to stop it. But the nature of Chesed is just flow. So that's the ultimate example of that is light, or. Yom HaSheni, Monday. Nivra b'sfiras Gevura. It was created with the sfira of Gevura. Shehi midas hatzimtzum vehadin. Now Gevura always means simtzum, which means kind of concealment or constriction or holding back, vidin, and judgment. Now, judgment can mean judgment. Judgment can mean an evil nation gets judged and Hashem punishes them. But din also means boundary. Okay, that's it. When you're going to learn in Chassidish Sfarim, what you'll mostly see is that din means boundary. So in other words, Or is not going to be useful unless it's contained. So you need that boundary. You always need boundaries. Okay? If there's no kli for the Or cannot be contained, and the Or will just continue to spread, but you can't grasp it, you can't use it, you can't benefit from it unless that Or is coming somehow into a kli. Same thing also, I've said this mashal before. They say, the first spoon of honey tastes really good. The second spoon already doesn't taste so good. The third spoon, you could throw up. That's an example of too much chesed. The first spoon is very good, but there has to be limits in order for chesed to be benefit from, or packaged. Very good, packaged.
Or manageable.
Manageable, very good. Very good. So you always need, there's always, Rabbi Tat says an amazing mashal about this, that there was someone who saved the king's life. So the king told that person that take 4 pegs and go walk in my kingdom, plant 1 peg on the ground and walk, and plant a second peg, and plant 4 pegs. Wherever you plant those pegs, that's the land that I give you you saved my life. So I'm going to give you whatever you want. So just take these 4 pegs and plant them. So he planted the first peg, and he kept walking and walking. He was about to put down the peg, and he said, why should I put down the peg now? I can walk another mile. I'll put it down there. And he walked another mile, and he said, why should I do it now? I can walk 10 more miles. And the way the story goes, he's still walking. He never put down that second peg. The second peg, we're not even talking about the 4th peg. The second peg he never put down. So the nimshal is, what do you gain from it? Unless you make those 4 pegs and you make a kli for that area that you want to accept from the king, you don't benefit from it. You don't benefit from it. It's always like this. The man and the woman is the man has unlimited seed, but the woman, she takes all that seed and one seed goes and fertilizes the egg, and then the woman. That's why the man represents hashpar or chesed, and the woman represents din or gvura or boundaries. Okay, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It doesn't mean it's not a negative thing that a woman represents din. It's a good thing.
That's what you call your boss.
You're right. Could be yes. Okay, so again, Yom HaSheni is Monday. Yes, Monday. Niver b'sfiras gevura was created with the sfira of gevura. Shehi midas hatzimtzum ve'adin. That is the mid of tzimtzum, constriction, and din. V'lachein, and therefore, Amar Hashem Yisbarach in the pasuk in Bereshis, Yehi Rakia. So what happened on the second day? On the second day, it's hard to imagine exactly how this looked, but basically there was water everywhere. And Hashem went and created a rakia. And a rakia is kind of like a separation or a boundary. And now there's a separation or a boundary between the upper waters and the lower waters. That's what the pasuk says. So that's why specifically on Monday there's a rakia, because a rakia is a boundary. So that's why that boundary was created on that day. Sheyikrashu v'yiskoshu hamayim hel yoinim kedei sheyishave mehem rakia. So he says that the upper waters became congealed and hardened, and it became this rakia. So again, it's changing from flow to something solid with a boundary. Ach gam b'yom hasheni adayin lo nigmara hamalacha. But you should know that on the second day, the malacha of water, of the creation of water, was not yet complete. Kivan she'ein mitzias ligvura liyos be'atzma b'shleimus b'lisviras hatif'eres ha'amira b'yom hashlishi shu midas harachamim ha'mamtika l'chein. So he's saying. So let's go slow. He says that in fact you can't have proper din unless there is rachamim. In other words, in a world of straight din, everything would be destroyed, right? Because nobody doesn't make mistake, everyone makes mistakes, and there's punishment. So pure din, you can't exist with pure din. Din will only work if there's a third element called rachmim. Rachmim is really
like mercy.
Mercy. Rachmim is a combination of chesed and gvura, and that becomes tiferes, is the middle ground, and that is called rachmim. So that's using chesed when you need to use chesed, and using din when you need to use din and rachmim. So sometimes, of course, you have to give a child love and hug him and kiss him, etc., and encourage him. But sometimes a child has to be punished.
You have to discipline, like put him in the corner or whatever.
Right. So sometimes the kid has to be punished. So you have to have that combination. So that combination of love and din and punishment becomes the middle ground of tiferes, which is rachmim. So he says that it's not by coincidence that the avoida of the water was not completed on the second day, because that would mean that din could exist. You need a third part. So you're going to see that the water is completed on the third day of creation, on Tuesday, and the reason for that is because din is represented by Monday, but din cannot exist without Tuesday, which is rachmim, which is going to be tiferes. So that's why this water goes over 2 days. That's what he's saying. L'chein gamar Hashem yizbarach pu'ulas hamayim b'yom hashlishi. Therefore Hashem completed the creation of water, or what he did with the water, setting up the water on the third day, on Tuesday. V'sham nemar ki toiv beis pa'amim. So it's not by coincidence that on Tuesday it says ki toiv 2 times. Every day it says ki toiv 1 time. Why does it say ki toiv 2 times on Wednesday? because Wednesday is the completion of the avoid of water, and so he's giving a kitoiv, one for the day before and one for the day after, so you get two kitoivs on Tuesday. Gam avor yom hasheni. Also, the first one of those kitoivs is because of Monday. Turn the page to Kuf Vav.
Do you want a question?
Sure.
Yeah. If you don't want to answer.
Why? No, go ahead. Why not?
So something that I struggle a bit with this always is when we start to explain the midah of gevura, we always do it in relation to chesed, right? And then we kind of explain it in the way of tiferes. That chesed needs gevura in order to package it properly, because too much chesed is not good enough, right?
Right.
But that's really kind of what tiferes sort of is.
It is.
Right. So it seems to me though that there's in Indian, isn't there a midah of gevura on its own? Is there such a thing?
So like in other words, he just said gevura always goes with tiferes. No, I think.
It's easy for us to say there's chesed on its own. Chesed is
let me ask you something.
An unstopping flow.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
When Hashem drowned all the Mitzrayim in the Yam, isn't that called pure din? I mean, for them there was no rachamim.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so
right.
I think that's the answer. I think let's put it this way. I think as a general rule, when Hashem works with people that He likes, like the Yidden or the Chasidei Umas Ha'olam, so there's always going to be Chesed, Din, and Rachamim. But sometimes with evil people, it's pure Din.
Right.
I guess.
So I'm just saying, because we always explain it. We always explain Gevura only in relation to Chesed, when really he didn't even really say that.
He said that there's always right. In other words,
kind of talks about
Tiferes, the third.
He talks about Gevura on its own.
He does or does not?
Does.
He did talk about Gevura on its own?
Yeah. He says it's tzimtzum, it's din.
Right.
Hirikia.
That's right. That's right.
Lav davka, that it's taking the midah chesed and then looming in it and packaging it.
No, let's go slow. Tiferes
yes.
is mixing them, but Gevura, Din alone doesn't take Chesed.
Right. So, okay.
Yeah. Din is Din, Chesed is Chesed. Tiferes is a combination, and that's why it looks that way.
Right.
That's why it's right, left, and center.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, it says we have a strange Chazal that says Yaakov Avinu was the Bechir Sheb Avos.
Yeah.
The Bechir, it's kind of a scary statement. He was the greatest of the Avos. How could we even say that? But we couldn't say it, but the Chazal say it. Why? Because Avram is Chesed and Yitzchak is Din, but the ultimate is the perfect combination of the two, and that was Yaakov Avinu's Midah. But yeah. Good. The question got answered. Hopefully,
pretty close.
Did my best. Okay, so Yom HaShlishi. Now we're going to talk directly about Yom HaShlishi. Yom HaShlishi, Tuesday. Nivra b'sfiras tiferes. Tuesday was created with the midah of tiferes. Shehi midas hahisparus. It's the midah of hisparus, which means beautifying. V'lachein amar Hashem yisbarach b'yom hashlishi, and this is why in the pasuk Hashem says on the third day of creation, Tadshe haaretz desha esev. What happens on the third day on Tuesday, on Yom Hashlishi? Hashem gives a command that the land should bring forth vegetation. Shehu inyan hisparus. This is beauty. Why? She'aretz mispaeres b'levusha. The land is beautified by its, and it feels beauty. It expresses beauty through its garment, and the garment of the land is a green vegetation. So that's why Dafka on Tuesday, on the third day, Hashem says, "Let the vegetation come out of the land." Kemoi levush adam, just like the clothing of a person. Shehu loy lekavod l'siferes. A man's clothing is his honor and his beauty. V'hayom hazeh hu hamamutza ben chesed v'gvura v'gemar shelei musan. And this third day of Tiferes is the middle ground between Chesed and Gvura, and it is their completion. And that's why, again, when you look at the diagram, you'll always see that Chesed after the Sefiros HaKelim. So the diagram goes that Chesed is on the right side, and Gvura is on the left side, and Tiferes is right in the middle. It's the mixture of both. Yom HaRavi, the fourth day. Nivra b'Sefiros Netzach. The fourth day, Wednesday of creation, was created with the Sefira of Netzach. Shehi midas hanitzachoin. Netzach means the midah of nitzachoin. Now, nitzachoin can mean two things which are related, but nitzachoin really means victory. But nitzachoin, netzach netzachim, can also mean eternity. Ubayom hazeh nimshach pu'ulas ha'or hanivra b'yom rishon. On this day, the deed of the ore that was created on the first day, on Sunday, sorry, it's a statement. On this day, the ore which was created on the first day is drawn down. That's how he says it. And we'll see what that means. Ki chesed yom rishon v'netzach yom revi shneim b'tzad hayamin k'mavur le'el hakdama daled, like we spoke about already in Hakdama Daled. Now, again, if you'll look in the diagram at the back, take any diagram in the back, you will see that chesed and netzach are both on the right side. Okay, so it's not a coincidence. So that means that there's a direct relationship between Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday. Sunday and Wednesday. There's a direct relationship because they're both on the right side. That's what he's saying. So now he's going to explain. V'lachein boy nislu hashemesh v'hayareach v'akoichavim shenivru b'yoim harishon. So so he says there's a chazal that actually everything was created on the first day, but they were placed they were placed on certain days. So it says over here that the sun and the moon and the stars were actually created on the first day, but they weren't. They were kind of in suspended animation, or they were hiding, whatever that means. And Hashem placed them to start functioning in the world on Wednesday. So first of all, you see, so what's the connection between Sunday and Wednesday? Well, one connection is Sunday was Yehi Or, right? And now on the right side, it's drawing down the next hashpah to the next day on the right side, which is Wednesday, and now it becomes physical light. It's a sun, it's a moon, it's stars, actual light, right? Vayetze hashemesh migvrasoi lahar al haaretz. So it says the shemesh came out in its power to shine onto the land. Val yedehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu manig seder olam v'alayla shezeh nitzchius haaretz. So what does this have to do with the word netzach? So it's two things. So he said, the first thing he says is that now, because you have a sun and a moon and the stars, this is going to be the eternity of the world. Because the world is always, from that day on, no matter what happens on any given day, you're always going to have a sun rising and the sun going down and a moon rising and the stars. That's every single day. That's nitzchius. That's eternity. That's going to be eternal. Kemoishe kasuv, and we even see it. There's a pasuk in Noach, in Parshas Noach, when after the flood, Hashem says, "Zera v'katzer v'kor v'choim v'yoim v'layla loy yish boisu." After the pasuk says after the flood, from now on, the 4 seasons, winter, summer, spring, and fall, day and night will never stop from now on. So the Chazal point out what it means is that during the flood it did stop. So there was an exception made during the 40 days of the flood, of the Mabul of Noach. But after that, but that was just an exception. But in fact, for eternity, these forces of nature will always be in their place. So that's one meaning of Netzach, eternity. And that's why the sun, the moon, and the stars were created on that day. But another meaning of Netzach is victory. So victory over here can also mean, you could say Hashem was victorious in setting up the world in a way that nobody can touch it. The sun, the moon, the stars, that'll always happen every single day. Or you could say, you could put it on the sun and the moon and the stars. Those elements are victorious. No one can ever defeat them. Every single day, the sun will rise, the sun will set. They're victorious. You could say it either, however you want to say it, that is the connection of Wednesday to Netzach. Yom HaChamishi, Thursday. Nivra b'sfiras hoid. Thursday was created with the sfira of hoid. Shehi midas hahoidah. This is the midah of thanking. Al gemar shleimus hadavar. The thanking, over here, when something has been completed, Hashem has completed something for us, we thank. L'chein, boy nivru shiratzei hamayim. So what happened on Thursday? So the shiratzei hamayim, which means anything, any fish or anything that lives in the water, ubesoicham hataninim hagadolim. And then we have something, the pasuk says there were taninim gedolim, there were massive, we don't even know exactly what this is, but giant sea creatures, bigger than whales.
Sea monsters, whatever they are?
You could say sea monster, you could say that if you want. Hashem created all these great, whatever was in the water was created on Thursday. Shehem shleimus v'gemar pu'ulas hamayim shenivra b'yom hasheni. So Hashem started working with the water on Monday. Okay? So what is the connection between Monday and Thursday? They're both on the left side. Okay? Monday, as if you'll look again in the diagram, you will see that when everything is split up in three columns, so you're going to see that on the left side is Gvura. So one second. So on the left side is going to be Gvura, and underneath Gvura is going to be Hod. So they're one underneath, because what happened on Monday is continuing and getting completed on Thursday, right? It's the malach of the water. Hashem started working with the water. He made that rakia on Monday, and that's why that's on the left side, and he completes it on Thursday by creating beings in the water. Creatures in the water. Ki Gevura Yom Sheni v'Hoid Yom HaChamishi. Gevura, which is Monday, v'Hoid, which is Thursday. Shneim b'tzad small. Both of them are on the left side. K'mavur le'el Hakdama Dalid. Like we spoke about already in Hakdama Dalid. L'chein Isa b'Perek Shira. Levyasan oimer hoidi l'Hashem ki toiv. This is very interesting. We have in Perek Shira. So Perek Shira is a very interesting. I guess you could call it a medrash from Chazal, and Perek Shira is very interesting, and it says different animals. It mentions different animals, and each animal has a certain pasuk that it says or that it davens, and it says about the Levyasan. The Levyasan are some kind of massive creature in the water, the most massive creature of the water, bigger than anything we could think of. And we don't know what that is today exactly. But Levyasan oimer hoigel Hashem ki toiv. It says about the Levyasan in Perek Shira that what does the Levyasan say or daven? Hoigel Hashem ki toiv. Thank Hashem for he is good. Why does it say Hoid L'Hashem Ki Toiv? Because he is the biggest creature in the water, and the creatures of the water were created on the seventh day, on the fifth day, which is Hod. So he says Hoid L'Hashem Ki Toiv. Thank Hashem Ki Toiv. Yoim HaShishi.
So that's pretty awesome. Because it's the completion, the end of something.
Right, correct.
It's the end. So
what do you say? Because he said that's when you thank.
That's where
you thank at the end.
You thank when something's finished.
Finished, right?
Completion.
Yeah, very good.
Meaning the continuation of Gevura.
Exactly. That part of the water has been completed, or that part of the Gevura has been completed. Very good.
Now you have void.
Very good.
And then of course Leviathan represents the end of everything.
Right. Also true. Right.
Yeah.
Right. The big end.
The grand finale.
Amazing.
Grand finale. Yeah. Yom Hashishi, Friday, Erev Shabbos. Nivra b'sfiros yisoid. So Erev Shabbos, or Friday, was created through the sfira of Yisoid. Shehi midas his kashrus v'hashpa. The midah of Yisoid is the midah of connection and hashpa, flow, or what was the other word? Influence. V'lachein nivra boy ha'adam shehu Yisoid habriya. Therefore, what happened? What did Hashem create on Friday? On Erev Shabbos, He created man. And man is Adam and Eve, and man is the root, the Yisoid is a better word, the foundation of the Bria. Man is the foundation of the Bria. That's why Rosh Hashanah is not the first day of creation. Rosh Hashanah is the day that man was created. So man is the Yisoid of Bria. V'hu hamekasher umashpia es kol habrachos. Man is the one, and particularly the Jewish man, is the one that is mashpia all the brachas. Through him come all brachas, all blessings, v'hashbos, and influence and flow, from higher influence and flow and higher brachas through this world. Why? Because we have a very clear teaching that the way hashpah comes down to this world is we daven, we put on tefillin, we put on tzitzis, we do mitzvahs, as yidden. What happens is that we send up a hashpah, whatever that means. There's a word for that. Ma'im nukvin, 1 second. And the hashpah comes down, called ma'im duchrin, and that's the whole way that the system works. So we are actually the conduit to bring Hashem's brachas to the world and to all the nations, not just to the world. It's to the mineral life and the plant life. It's to the physical world and even the nations of the world. That all comes through us doing our mitzvahs.
So why do we call Rosh Hashanah the head of the year if it's not really the head of the year?
Because the day that man was made is considered, that's the whole reason for everything. So that's the whole reason for the world was created. So that's why we call that Rosh Hashanah. V'zatam sheyoim, turn the page. Hashishi hu hamashpia l'Shabbos kodesh. This is the reason why Friday is mashpia to Shabbos kodesh. Why? Kamamar Akasav, the pasuk says v'haya b'yom hashishi v'heichinu. It says, the pasuk says in Shmois, heichinu es asher yaviu. On the 6th day, you prepare what you're going to eat for Shabbos, or what you're going to bring for Shabbos. I think this pasuk is talking about the man, that they gathered the man on Friday, they ate it on Shabbos. V'amru chachmeinu zal, mi shetarach be'erev Shabbos yoichal b'Shabbos. Whoever works on Shabbos will be able to eat on Shabbos, because on Shabbos, whoever works on Erev Shabbos will eat on Shabbos. You have to prepare. You can't just come into Shabbos without preparing. Whatever you've worked for and prepared the whole week, then you eat that on Shabbos. So the point,
because it's also to prepare things on Shabbos.
Correct. So what he's trying to say here is like this, is the same way. His point is like this. Friday is a day, is Yisoid, and Yisoid is Hishkashrus and Hashpah, and that's why that's happening on Friday. Man was created on that day because the man is the one that brings the Hashpah from up high down to down below, and the same thing on Friday is the Hashpah is drawn down to Shabbos. So this is all his kashrus. This is all connection. Yom HaShabbos. So what happened on Yom HaShabbos? Nivra b'sfiras Malchus. So Shabbos, the day of Shabbos, was created from the sfira of Malchus. Chein la me'atzma shum mida v'koyach. Now this is interesting. Rak ma shemekabelas me'al yoinois. Okay. So what he says over here now is Malchus is considered, Malchus itself does not have any property on its own. In other words, all the other spheres that we've discussed, Keser, Chachma, Bina, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, etc., we just discussed their powers, what they do. Malchus has nothing, no powers of its own. Malchus is only whatever, and if you look at the diagram, again at the back, you're going to see, you see, Malchus is the very, very last sphera.
There's two different levels. There's Malchus Gvura Hashem, and there's Malchus...
No, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Just look at the sphere itself of Malchus at the end, okay? Everything feeds into Malchus. The way the flow goes is from top to bottom. It all ends up in Malchus. So Malchus becomes all of the above. So Malchus itself is empty, so to say. It doesn't have its own power. But what it does have is it catches all the powers and it becomes the power of all the power. In other words, it becomes all the 9 spheres, their powers go into Malchus, and Malchus there's a better word than uses those powers. It is those powers. It becomes those powers.
It generates more?
This is already... That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that question. But it all comes together in Malchus. So let's keep reading. Aval mala yesera yeshba shenishlam malchuso yizborach v'shavas v'yunafash mikol malachtoi. So it's the same thing. The day of Shabbos is the same as Malchus. The day of Shabbos, every day had certain powers. The day of Shabbos, there's nothing happening creatively. Okay? That's the same thing as Malchus doesn't have any powers on its own. But what did happen on Shabbos, he says here, is the Maila of Shabbos is that on that day Hashem completed his Malchus, his kingship, V'shuvas, and he rested, Vayunofash, Mikol Malachtoi. Yunofash can mean it could mean he was restored, but that doesn't really, that's what the word means, but for Hashem it doesn't make that much sense. But it also means it could be, they say it could mean Hashem put nefesh into the world. He put an neshama into the world. Shavas v'inafash, mikol malachtoi, from all of his, he rested from all of his work. V'lachein loy nivra b'yoyim Shabbos shum davar prati. That's why on Shabbos nothing specific was created. The same way that Malchus doesn't have any powers of its own. Ki kol habrachos kalulois ba. All of the brachas are included in Shabbos. The same way that all of the powers are included in Malchus. V'lazeh yesh ba menucha v'simcha. Why do we say that Shabbos has menucha v'simcha, right? We have a zmiris menucha v'simcha. Why do we say Shabbos has menucha v'simcha?
Menucha means rest, right?
Oh, you're going to see. 1 second. Menucha al gemar hamalacha. Menucha means Hashem rested because he completed the malacha. He completed the work. V'simcha, why simcha al shleimus habriya? There was a simcha because the bria has been created. Similar to what we said before, that hod, you thank at a completion, so there's a big simcha at the completion. So that's what we say when we say menucha v'simcha. That's what it's referring to. U'b'yoyim hazeh, and on that day, kibul Hashem yisborach toyar melech. On that day, Hashem gets the calling, the title. Thank you. On that day, Hashem gets the title of melech. Like we say in the Tefillah of Adoin Olam, Le'ez nasa b'cheftzei kol, at the time when Hashem created everything from His will, Azai Melech Shemoy Nikra. Then he was called Melech. In other words, when everything was completed, Hashem is called Melech. Because now that there's a people, the human beings were created, Adam and Chava were created on Friday. And so now that there are people to rule, and there's animals and everything else, so now, but especially people, now Hashem can be called king. We have a klal, ein melech b'liam. V'avoida sa'adam hi. The avoida of man is lezakech midoisav b'chol yoim kefi sefiros shel oisei yoim. Now he says a very interesting thing. He says there's a very big avoida that why do we have 7 days of the week? It gives us a project to work on ourselves every day of the week for an entire week. So how does this work? Dahainu, that is to say, B'yom HaRishon, turn the page, L'sakein midas ahava. Really, it is very interesting. If you really want to know what your job is, your spiritual job is every Sunday, it's to fix your midah of ahava. Right? Because Sunday is related to was created from Chesed, which is a midah of ahava. We're going to speak about exactly. So what does that mean? So fixing your midah of ahava means you have to love the right things and not love the wrong things. Right? That's fixing your midah of ahava. Right? There's certain things we're allowed to love, certain things we're not supposed to love. Good things we're allowed to love, bad things we're not allowed to love. You're supposed to try to fix that every Sunday. You work on yourself. B'yom beis midas yira. So on the second day, the midah of yira, fear. So the obvious fear is fear of Hashem, okay, and not to be afraid of other things, not to be afraid of, because ultimately all Hashem. So not to be afraid of how am I going to pay my mortgage, not to be afraid of the dog barking,
or our enemies,
or not to be afraid of our enemies, right? But only to have fear of Hashem. Right? That would, and to work on your Yer Shemaim every Monday. B'yom Gimel midas hisparos. On the third day comes from Tiferes. You're supposed to work on your hisparos. That means you're not supposed to glorify yourself. You're not supposed to glorify bad things. You're supposed to glorify good things and other people, but not yourself. Work on that midah. B'yom Revi. On the fourth day, midas hanitzachon. Yom HaRevi on the fourth day, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you're supposed to work on the midah of nitzachon. So nitzachon means to be victorious. Try to be victorious over the Yetzer Hara. Try to victory, and not be victorious over your Yetzer Hatov. Right? Not to beat your Yetzer Hatov. But Yom Chamishi midas hoida. On the fifth day, which is Thursday, the midas of Hoidah, to praise Hashem for the good things. Praise good things. Don't praise bad things. Be connected with the good, not with the bad. But Yom HaShishi, midas hiskashrus. On the Erev Shabbos is the midah of hiskashrus. That means connecting to Hashem, connecting to good people, connecting to good things, and disconnecting from bad things and from bad people. Kefi Mavur La'el Soif Hakdama Gimel. In Hakdama Gimel, we gave all these examples as well. Ikefi Tekinoi B'Sheishes Yimei Hamasa. According to the work that you've done on yourself in fixing these 6 things in the first 6 days of creation, Kach, so too, Yizke B'Yom HaShabbos, you will be Zoiche, you will merit on the day of Shabbos, L'Toisefes Kedusha, to extra kedusha, kol echad lefi avoidasei b'chol. Everybody according to his avoida in chol. Now it doesn't just. It means, yes, it's true. It means if you work on these 6 specific things on the first 6 days of the week, you will definitely gain the spiritual benefits of it on Shabbos. Your Shabbos will be different. But it doesn't mean dafka these 6 things. It means any work that you do, spiritual work that you do in the week, according to the work that you do, that will be your Shabbos. Okay, the more spiritual you become during the week, the greater your spiritual enjoyment will be on Shabbos. Boifen acher, nechlakoi se'eser sefiros l'shtayim. So now, what he did now in the first part of this parak was, he explained that one way to split the 10 sefiros is 3 and 7, right? Moichin and Midas. That's what we just dealt with now. Now he's going to go into a new split. And you're going to see that because the 10 sefiros are everything, the 10 sefiros represent everything, all of our spiritualities from these 10 sefiros, you're going to see there's very different ways that we divide them that show how different things come into the world and the reason why the world looks the way it is and operates the way it does. But oifen acher. So now we're going to talk about a different division. Nechlakois ha'eser sefiros l'shtayim. Now we're going to divide, we're not going to do 3 and 7, we're going to divide them in 2 even groups of 5 and 5. But oifen shel Chamisha chasadim biyamin, v'chamisha gevurois b'smol. We are going to take these 10 sefiros and we're going to identify that 5 of them are really on the right and 5 of them are on the left. Now, in the diagram that I keep showing for the video, there's not just 2 sides. There's left, right, and there's center. So what you're going to see, what he's going to say over here is that the 3 on the right are obviously right, are chasadim. The 3 on the left are going to be gvuras, and the 4 in the middle we're going to divide into 2. You're going to see how this works. Go to the next side. Kuf Yud Gimel. Hachamesh sefiros keser chachma chesed tiferes netzach heim tzad chesed shebiyamin. Those 5 are all called on the side of chesed, which is the right. The chamesh sefiros Bina Gvura, Hoid, Yesoid, Malchus, Heimsad HaGvura, Shebesmol. They are going to be the side of Gvura, which is on the left side. Now, it's interesting. It's actually pretty organized in the diagram because what I'll show you is, let's again go to any diagram in the back. What he's saying is the 3 on the right are Chesed, the 3 on the left are Din. And then the top 2 are going to be chesed, the bottom 2 are going to be din. Okay, so that's how you're going to get a division of 5 and 5. Okay, that's what he's saying. So it makes sense that the top 2 are chesed, the bottom 2 are din. The right ones are chesed, the left ones are din. As a matter of fact, I do want to say something. I was very amazed. I once went to England, and I went to the Tower of London. It's a very interesting place. The Tower of London is the place where many English kings and queens ruled England, and they ruled in that palace. Hang on. So today the Tower of London has become like a giant museum. You can see where the king sat, where the queens. You can see all these things, but it became a museum. You can see the crown jewels there. And I remember when I went, there was a video playing. And the video showed the coronation of the Queen, Queen Elizabeth. It's on video. So it's very interesting. The priest stands in front of her, and he has 2 scepters. And I couldn't believe it when he said this. He said to the Queen, "This is the scepter of kindness. Take this in your right hand." And she took it. And he said, "This is the scepter of judgment. Take it in your left hand." And she took it. So all these things are obviously coming from us, from Judaism. But even these, I mean, the truth is, if you look in Tanakh, you can probably also see, you probably would see, I'm not an expert in Tanakh, but you would probably see, it could be, what I mean to say is, you don't necessarily have to come onto Kabbalistic concepts maybe to get this. It could be from Tanakh alone. They could see chesed, but it was just interesting that take it with your right hand, take it with your left hand. So even Christianity is totally based on this, on what we're learning now. And ad kadei kach, that in inauguration of the Queen, which was like the highest, the king, the queen, this is like the highest thing by the Goyim, they are very busy with this. And their religion is busy. It was the priest the
idea, of course, that the right hand is the strong hand,
Right.
You want
That's right.
chesed to be
To be right, more right, push right.
Yeah.
You have to bring close more than you push away.
rule with
Exactly.
kindness more. Than,
Exactly. No, so that's an excellent point. It's another point that I never brought out. A person, what Rabbi Gissel just said is, a person's strong hand is the right hand that represents chesed. Usually, sometimes some people have the stronger hand.
If you're lefty.
Yeah, right. It's true. There are exceptions to the rule, but the message from Hashem in creating the world that way, that basically, I don't know, 99% of all people, or 95%, whatever it is, their right hand is a stronger hand, is a message that when you're dealing with people and your family and your wife, it's always more important to do chesed, that's the stronger one, than to put boundaries or do judgment or din. And that's how Hashem works with us. That the chesed is much, much more powerful, Baruch Hashem, than his side of din. Very good point.
I think that's
Excellent
why when you wash dishes, you have the thing in one hand, you have the soap and sponge on the other hand for better grip.
Okay. So let's keep going. Ve'inyan hu she'eser sfiras mesudarim kamoi segel. Okay, so again, if you'll, why not? You go back to the diagram, you're going to see that basically the top three array of the top three parts of this, we call this the Eitz Chaim, of the spheres lined up in this way, they're segels. So segel means this shape of one on top, two on the side, right? Then we have here again. Two on top. Excuse me. Two on top, one in the middle. Two on top, one in the middle. Up here, it's the opposite way. It's one on top and two in the middle. But this three triad, I guess you call it, that is how the spheres end up getting set up. The top nine, and Malchus, because Malchus is separate and different, so Malchus is on its own. So that's what he's talking about, a segel. A segel obviously is under the S sound. That's underneath Nakudas. The Nakudas that make the S sound underneath the aleph base.
On the right, left, bottom.
Right. The inyan hu she'eser spheres mesudarim kemoi segel. The 10 spheres are in the form of a segel, three segels, one under the other. But oifen shel shloisha kaven shel yamin smol ve'emsa. So like we said, when you set it up that way and look at that diagram, you'll see that there are three lines. There's right, left, and center. K'mavur le'el hakdama daled, like we spoke already in hakdama daled. V'lechein hashloisha spheres chachan. Okay, this is important because now he's going to use a new Rosh Tevis, chachan. So what's chachan? So he says, So he says in brackets, chachma chesed netzach. Why is he saying it that way? Because he's going down the right side. If you look on the right side in that diagram, on the right side alone is chachma chesed netzach, one on top of one underneath the other. Ha'oimdim b'yamin heim ha'chesadim. Those three are the chesadim. V'ashloisha sfira is baga. So what's baga? Bina gvura hoid. So bina gvura hoid ha'oimdim b'smol heim ha'gvuros. So the three that are on the right side in that diagram, those are called gvuros. Ve'adalit sfiras, and the four in the middle, spheres, Keser, Tiferes, Yisoid Malchus, Ha'oimdim be'emsa, that stand in the middle, Heim Rachamim. So anything in the middle line is always going to be the mixture between Chesed and Gvura, and that's always, all those four are going to represent Rachamim, mercy. The mixture of Chesed and Gvura. Rak, but, only, Sheshnayim Ha'elyoinim Noitim Yoiser Liyamin, the two higher ones, which are Keser and Tiferes, they are in the middle, but they lean towards the right. It doesn't mean in the diagram you'll see them leaning towards the right. It means their nature is that even though they're center, they're leaning more to the right. They're more chesed. V'shnaim atachtoinim, more chasadim, that's how you should say it. V'shnaim atachtoinim, which are Yisoid and Malchus, noitim yoiser l'smol. they lean more to the small. I'll do this. I'll just do this last paragraph, and then we'll stop. Kisrius keser adayin ein bashum midas hadin klal. Keser is so high and so pure. There's no din in keser. Keser is the very first sphere. It's the very first hashpah coming from Shemaim. So there's no din over there. It's all chesed. Rak achdus hapashit. This is just simple oneness. That's what keser represents. Lachein, therefore, hagam shi be'emsa, even though it's in the middle line, hare kulay chesed. It's all chesed. So that's why we're called, even though keser is represented in the middle, it's all chesed, because there's no din in it's so high and holy and close to Hashem that there's no din there. Sefiros hatiferes, sefiros tiferes, the next one down in the middle, hagam shehi kav emsoi, even though it's in the middle line, hakoil chesed v'din, which is included in chesed and din. It's made up of chesed and din. Im kol zeh, still biyoisa midas harachamim. It is the mid of rachamim k'mavur le'el hakdama gimel. He mate kilefi chesed. Let's face it, rachamim is more on the right side than the left side. Rachamim is not just. Yes, it's a mixture of the two. But Rachamim, we're always asking Hashem for Rachamim. We're not asking for 50-50, we're asking for Rachamim. So Rachamim naturally, even though it's a mixture of Chesed and Gvura, but it leans more to Chesed. So that's why we put it on the Chesadim side. Sefiros Yesoid, he gamken kavitz emsoi. The sphere of Yesoid is also in the middle row. Aval ikka netiyasa el hasmol shehu din. But it does lean a little bit technically to din, and I would say the reason probably for that is yesoid really means hashba, and yesoid is a person's drive, so to say, and a person's drive, especially for physical things, that always has to be put in check. Okay, there always has to be you can't just right? Especially if you're talking about Yesoid as being the man's organ, so to say. That is something that always has. In the physical body. That's what Yesoid matches up to. So that always has to be kept in check. So that's my understanding of why. That's one understanding of maybe why Yesoid leans more to the left, or to din, or to boundaries.
I was thinking about this, and one of the other aspects of Yesoid, of course, that we all know, is that it stores up everything until it's ready for the hashpah.
Oh, right.
So it keeps it.
Oh, very good. Or it holds it back.
Yeah.
Very good.
So too with the male.
Very
organ,
good.
It
holds back
until.
Right.
It's ready to.
Right. Very interesting. Very good point. Excellent point. Sefiros Malchus, he b'makoy midas adin. He dined the malchis adina. So this is a interesting thing. I think it is from. I believe it's from the Arizal. That it says about dina de malchis adina. The expression the Gemara means that whatever the law of the land is, you have to keep that law. As long as it's not a violation of Torah law, whatever the law is, you're required. You live in that land, you're required to keep that law. That's what the Gemara says, dina de malchus adina. But actually, in Al Pi the Arizal, it means malchus, dina de malchus adina. Malchus has a connection with din. I would say what comes to my mind, the connection is that malchus is a king. A king rules. Ruling is din. Ruling is I mean, part of ruling, yes. It's a king has to know when to use his midah of chesed, right, and when to use the midah of din. But ruling, when you think of ruling, right, ruling that's din. There's boundaries, right? There's rules. There's
a huge thing from Torah and Vav here. Remember this?
That what?
That's so in the
malchus, ruling, right?
Right, but that in the way that Klal Yisrael traveled in the Midbar, Dan was the Soif Davar.
Right.
So Surah Malchus is Soif Davar. It's the end.
Right. It
Dan-
catches everything that
Dan
that falls.
was
Master the Chol Hamachnois.
Right, and Dan is the same din.
Oh, din.
Malchus,
Oh,
din, Dan, Machne Dan. It's all about being at the bottom.
Beautiful.
Being
Catching everything.
Yeah, amazing.
Catching everything.
Amish unbelievable.
Anyway, it's we're gonna sign off, but everyone should definitely. Everyone should learn a little bit of some kind of a Chassidish sefer Pnimius tonight and tomorrow. It's a very big day. It's the Yortzeit of the Arizal. Zechusa Yogan Lein.